Hi everyone. So today we're going to be doing a gentle yoga practice with the primary focus of hamstrings. So all you're going to need is a yoga mat or even just a floor and a wall. So let's go ahead and begin with legs up the wall. Take just a moment to get prepped there. So we want to make sure that we're as close to the wall as we possibly can be, so your sit bones might even touch the wall. Another thing we want to consider when we get our legs up the wall here is that there's no strain. We don't want to feel any strain in the back of the hamstrings, even the glutes or the low back. So just take a moment to kind of settle in, make sure that you're not locking out the knees, that the legs are soft and relaxed. And then just gently turn your head from side to side and find a nice, comfortable resting spot here. Let's let the arms relax alongside the body, palms facing up if that's appropriate for you today, and closing the eyes. And now taking a really deep breath here in through the nose. And exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. And now just closing the lips and breathing in and out of the nose. And just starting to notice the pace of your own breath without trying to change it. Notice if the breath feels deep in the body. Noticing if the breath feels maybe more concentrated in the chest and the shoulders, and maybe feeling a little shallow. Noticing any qualities of the breath that are really obvious. Maybe from one breath to the next, the breath is quick. Or maybe we've already fallen into this nice, steady, slow, rhythmic breathing. And so now let's begin to slow the breath down just a little bit. Seeing if we can sense the body filling with air from bottom to top. Noticing as we inhale the belly rising, the ribs expanding three-dimensionally, the shoulders really gently lifting. And as you exhale, everything softens and narrows and relaxes. Beginning to count how long it takes you to inhale, and counting how long it takes you to exhale. And seeing if we can either even the breath out so the inhales and the exhales match, or if it's available to you right now, even lengthening that exhale up to twice as long as the inhale. Taking just a few more breaths like that, really settling into the rhythm of your own breath. Good. And now we'll begin to move the body pretty slowly by just putting a bend in both of your knees and placing the soles of the feet against the wall. Now for this one, we want to make sure that the ankles are above the line of the knees, so we don't have them down here. Make sure that they're above just slightly. And for today, since we're not using any props, we're just going to use our imagination. So imagine that you have a yoga block here between your inner knees or inner thighs, and see if you can engage those inner thigh muscles, your adductor muscles, just really subtly. And then we're going to begin to lift and lower the hips. So now as we inhale, slowly begin to curl the hips, maybe the low back up off the mat, one vertebra at a time, maybe moving to the middle back if you can. And then as you exhale, softly lowering back down, maybe even taking just a little bit longer. So with each inhale, we're rising up one vertebra at a time. And with each exhale, softly lowering down. And as you're doing this, we're trying to maintain some steadiness in the body. So notice if you're swaying around a little bit, see if you can start to steady the body by engaging the muscles of the outer hips, the inner thighs, and really seeing if you can allow your breath to guide the movement. Each inhale, we rise up. Each exhale, we lower down. This is a really good movement to do to strengthen the muscles of the back, to begin to engage the muscles of the hamstrings and the glutes, and even just to start to move through all of the major joints here. So right now we're moving our ankle joints, our knee joints, our hip joints, and if you'd like to add the shoulder joints in, on the next inhale, we'll take our arms up and overhead. So as we inhale now, arms lift up and overhead. And as we exhale, arms come back down alongside you. Let's take just a few more. Inhale, rise up, arms float up behind you. And as you exhale, coming back down. Good. And then just one more here. Inhale, arms rise. And as you exhale, softly relax back down. Good. And now we'll slide both legs back up the wall. And just kind of notice if you've moved away from the wall a little bit there, maybe readjust. And now hug just your right knee into your chest. And let's just start with a little bit of movement, maybe wiggle the toes a little bit, stretch the toes and scrunch them back up. Point and flex the foot, roll the foot in the ankle in little circles. Good. And then from here, we're going to wrap our hands behind our right thigh. So right in the center between the knee and the hip, flex the right foot, considerably flexing the foot, and bend the knee. So from here, notice that my thigh and my torso are connected. And for this next movement here, we want to keep that thigh and torso connection. So really squeeze the thigh onto the belly. And now as we inhale, we're going to stretch our lower leg up and point our toes right at that end range. As we exhale, bend the knee, flex the foot. Good. And a few repetitions there. As we inhale, stretch the lower leg, point the toes. As you exhale, bend the knee, flex the foot. So this is our sciatic nerve floss, and we're also going to notice here the muscles of the hamstrings really getting involved, really starting to wake up. On the palms, you might feel as we inhale and stretch the lower leg, the contraction of the hamstrings. And as we exhale and bend the knee, flex the foot, you'll just notice a little slack there, a little release. And taking a few more repetitions. noticing a little tugging at the low back, maybe at the sit bones. Let's take one more repetition here. Good. Good. And now we're going to stretch our right leg straight up and straighten our arms so that we can straighten the leg and the arms. And you're either just going to hang out here if the hamstrings are really tight and you're noticing maybe the low back lifting up off the floor here. You can certainly stay right where you're at. Otherwise, we're going to slowly slide the hands up the back of the leg, reaching up as high as you can without lifting your head, and just gently pulling the leg towards you. Now, if you happen to have props at home, you could certainly use a strap or a tie or a belt or even a towel over your foot to give you some assistance here. For now, see if you can just relax into this. Each exhale, relaxing a little bit more. And just closing your eyes and tuning into the sensation. And taking about 3 more breaths here. After that third exhale, just sliding the hands back down the leg, just relaxing that right leg next to the left. And just take a moment to notice maybe a change in circulation, a change in sensation, maybe even observing a change in length from the right leg to the left. Let's take a deep breath together again in through the nose. And exhale, let it go. Good, and now hugging that left knee in towards you. Just giving it a squeeze, again, maybe scrunching the toes and stretching the toes, pointing and flexing the foot, or even rolling the ankle in little circles. And now interlacing the hands behind that left thigh, squeezing the thigh onto the belly, flexing the foot. And as we inhale, stretch the lower leg, point the toes. As you exhale, bend the knee, flex the foot. And just noticing how it feels along the way, maybe at that end range, feeling pretty tight, a lot of tension in the hamstrings, potentially the low back. Just noticing any sensations that come up, no judgment. Inhale to stretch that lower leg, point the toes. Exhale, bend the knee, flex the foot. And just a couple more here. Last one. And this time, as you stretch the leg up, we're going to straighten the arms as well so that the leg can straighten. And again, if you're feeling pretty tight here, just stay here. Otherwise, see if you can slide your hands maybe up the back of the leg. Some of you might even be able to reach all the way up to your foot, but just find that place where you can maintain a steady hold on this without too much effort. And see if you can relax into it. Just a few more breaths here, remembering with each exhale to soften just a little bit more. And continuing to relax the muscles around the jaw and the eyes. One more breath. Gently release, and just allow that left leg to rest comfortably next to the right. And take a minute to observe any sensations here, any changes. Now softly bring the knees in towards you. Maybe rock side to side a little bit, massaging the low back. Good, and eventually rocking all the way over to one of your sides and just coming up onto your hands and knees here. So we're going to find a table pose. So remember, in table pose we want our creases of our wrists underneath our shoulders and the knees are underneath our hips. So go ahead and set up there. And let's take a few rounds of cat-cow. So as we exhale, we're tucking the tailbone, rounding the spine, dropping the head, really moving nice and slowly through the spine here. And then as we inhale, the belly falls, the gaze lifts, and the shoulders draw down and away from the ears. Good, and then doing that a few more times on your own. See if you can match the movement to the breath. And feeling free to linger on either end here. If it feels really good in this cow pose, feel free to hang out here a little longer. If it feels really good at the top of that cat pose, feel free to kind of just hang out there and stretch. Let's take one more repetition. Good, now just bringing big toes together, knees can separate, sinking the hips back towards the heels and stretching the arms out in front of you for a soft child's pose. And see if you can relax the shoulders here. Relax the hips towards the heels. And now lift your head just a few inches. We're going to stay as deep in our child's pose as we can here. And just lift up your right arm and slide it underneath your left arm, coming all the way down on your right shoulder and your right temple. And that left arm you can just continue to stretch out in front of you. And here we want to press the outer edge of our arm into the floor. And really feeling that nice stretch in the upper back, maybe the shoulders. Slowly unwinding, come back through center to reset. And now sliding our left arm under our right, coming all the way down on that left shoulder, left temple, stretching the right arm out in front of you and just relaxing here. Maybe pressing that left arm into the floor gently. And taking one more breath. And slowly unwinding. And now just sliding the hands back, coming back to our table pose. And we're going to step our right foot in between our hands. Coming up onto our fingertips for just a moment here, hugging the outer thighs in, hugging the outer hips in, squeezing the low belly in, and just pausing, relaxing. Now from here, press down through the top of your left foot, down through your left shin, and as you inhale, rise up to a kneeling position, bringing the arms straight up and overhead with you. Squeeze the front of the body towards the back of the body. Good. And now taking your right arm back behind you, left arm forward, just for a soft twist, maybe gazing in the direction of your right hand. Good, and as we inhale, coming back through center, stretching the arms straight up and overhead, and grabbing hold of your left wrist with your right hand, leaning to the right. Good, really lifting up out of that left hip here. If you're feeling pretty balanced, you could gaze underneath your left shoulder. Otherwise, gaze straight ahead is just fine. Good, as we inhale, come back up. And as you exhale, drop your hands back down to the floor and slide your back knee back a few inches. Good. And maybe even walking your front foot forward a few inches if you need to here. And all we're going to do is get into the muscles of the hamstrings by shifting our hips back in space and lifting our toes. And just dropping the weight of the head here, settling in. Here's another place where if you wanted to, you could use props underneath your hands. But see if we can try to just melt into this one. Trying not to resist gravity. Dropping the weight of the head. Settling back into the breath. Taking 2 more breaths here. Good. And rebending into that right knee. And tucking your left toes now. We're going to lift our left knee up off the floor. Again, fingertips are on the floor surrounding your foot. Your right knee for now is stacked right over top of your right ankle. And now begin to hug your outer hips in. Press really firmly into your right foot so you actually feel your right hamstrings really begin to wake up. And let's work on a little bit of strength here. So now engage the muscles of your left thigh. Feel the muscles hugging onto the bones. And stretch your arms forward at about a 45-degree angle. See if you can get your arms to surround your ears. Couple more breaths here. Push into the floor with that right foot. Stretch forward with those fingers. And then as we exhale, drop the hands down to the floor, and we're going to step our left foot forward about a foot. And now straighten your front leg. As you inhale, come up onto your fingertips, stretch the torso forward. And then before we fold in, hug your right hip to the left an inch. And then go ahead and melt down. Dropping the weight of the head, palms on the floor, tucking the chin, and really just relaxing into this one. For this one, if you want just a little bit more feedback, if you're not feeling a whole lot here, push your left heel down into the floor and imagine dialing the heel to the left. A couple more breaths. Imagine the center of the top of the head here reaching down towards the toes. Good. Taking one more breath here. And just putting a soft bend in your front knee, and we're going to meet back in child's pose, dropping your back knee, sliding that front leg back, and just sinking back. And just taking a few moments to notice, again, from side to side, any changes. Maybe coming back to that steady tempo of breathing. As you inhale, now rising back to hands and knees. Good. So we're going to do that same thing on the other side now. So taking the left foot up between your hands. And just coming up onto your fingertips right now. Our hips are squared. The knees are at about a 90-degree angle, both of them. We're just kind of sitting here for just a moment. Good. And now pressing your left foot or your front foot into the mat energetically, just to give you a little bit of support as you rise up now, bringing the arms all the way up and overhead with you. Again, squeezing the front of the body towards the back of the body, thinking about lengthening the tailbone straight down. And now taking that left arm back, right arm forward. Maybe gazing in the direction of that back hand. Good. As you inhale, come back through center, and we'll grab hold of our right wrist with our left hand and lean to the left. Again, you can even look underneath the arm if you have the space there. Inhale, come back through center, and then again, as we exhale, we'll drop our hands back down to the floor. Walk your back knee back in space a few inches, maybe crawl your front foot forward a few inches, and then we'll shift our hips back as we melt over that left leg for a soft hamstring stretch. Seeing if we can melt into this one. And dropping the weight of the head. Closing the eyes and just really settling in. One more breath here. And then crawling the hands forward. And we'll tuck those back toes, lift the back knee, coming up onto our fingertips, and again, trying to get the left knee directly over that left ankle, relaxing the shoulders back. Begin to drive down through the left foot, and then extend the arms forward. Just a few breaths here for strengthening those muscles of the hamstrings, feeling it pretty deeply on that left side. How about one more breath? And then dropping the hands back down to the floor, stepping the back foot forward about a foot, and straightening both of our legs as we continue to melt over that left leg. So left hip can go to the right a little bit, especially for swaying. You might press your right heel into the mat and imagine dialing it away from you as you lengthen the crown of the head towards the toes. One more breath here. And then again, we'll walk our hands forward and just find our way back to child's pose one last time. Sinking those hips back towards the heels, dropping the chest down,